right, let's do it. So thank you. Hello, hello, beautiful souls. Thank you all so much for being here with me today on another beautiful Wednesday evening for PinOak's Pals, episode 9. I am joined with the beautiful Shannon Shine and Selomon with the Bring Me to Life Network. And I'm really excited today. We're going to be sharing some beautiful wisdom about divine guidance, angels, and the healing path. So, as always, I would love to get us started with some gratitude and a meditation, and then we will jump right into the conversation. So, if you are in the chat and you would like to drop your gratitude, feel free to do so. I am super grateful for the amazing weather that we've been having and endless puppy kisses. And that's my gratitude. And I'm ultimately so grateful for the beautiful Shannon and Selomon for the many ways that we have shared in our journeys and the ways that we continue to be able to grow and evolve, and just the support and vibes are always amazing. You guys are so inspirational and the love is beautiful. So grateful for you all. I'm grateful for the space, and yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Feel called to share any of your own gratitude.
I'll let Shannon go ahead.
I'm just really grateful for the space and the ability to share freely about the things that bring us joy and bring us more connection to the world around us, and grateful for all of you, anyone tuning in. And yeah, it's good to be alive at this moment.
Yeah, grateful for the oxygen that the trees provide, grateful for this earth, and grateful for the opportunity to be here and the opportunity to experience what it's like to be a human being and to just like get into all of it. I am excited for this human experience. And thank you, Kristen. I'm super grateful for you and glad that you're alive on this planet in this timeline right now.
I feel the same. Also emphasizing the grateful for being human, like all the weird things we get to do are pretty incredible. So
Yeah.
Sure.
So many things you could do on this earth. It's like the most advanced video game.
Right. Yes. Well, speaking of video games, if we would like to tune in and tap in, we could go ahead and get started with a little meditation for today. And if you are watching this in your own space, I invite you to allow yourself to just find a comfortable position. And if you'd like to close your eyes, you can. And I invite you to place your hands over your heart center. And we can begin by taking a nice deep breath in. Release. Breath in and release. And one final breath in. And on the exhale, allowing your shoulders to drop, releasing the tension in your belly, dropping your tongue from the roof of your mouth, and allowing your breath to move gently from the inhale to the exhale, as though there is a wave forming in your chest. And with each breath, I invite you to allow a sense of calm and peace to wash over your body, and allowing any peace and love and understanding and joy into your body, and releasing any remaining tension, frustration, anger. I'm just inviting you in this moment to be aware of your present surroundings and just extending your gratitude for everything that exists within this space that supports you and offers you guidance and inspiration. And sharing that same gratitude with your body in this moment. And I invite you to bring your awareness to somewhere in your body that maybe you haven't given much love to today. And as this part of your body comes to mind, I invite you to send it so much love, letting it know that you are worthy, you are capable, you are healthy. And just allowing yourself to support your body in this moment with all the love and gratitude that exists for being. And if you'd like to imagine this love forming a ball in the center of your chest as a green light, we can bring this green light out into our hands, forming a green sphere in front of your body filled with unconditional love. And I invite you to send this ball of green light out into your building, into your city, into your state, your country, and allowing this green light to move all the way around the earth, sharing this never-ending, unconditional love and understanding everywhere it goes, instilling the connection that exists between us with a breath. Release. Inviting you to bring your awareness back to this now moment, wiggling your fingers and your toes, your knees and your nose, and opening your eyes whenever you're ready.
Thank you for that. That was amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate you joining. So for today, I would love for us to get started by just explaining and speaking a little bit about our individual journeys when it comes to divine guidance or working with angels. We could start with our healing path. I know for me, the three intertwine because I really began understanding and working towards a connection with angels and understanding divine guidance the more that I became aware of my healing path, and the more time and energy that I put into it, the more I would seem to get. And so for me, being able to see that angels come in many forms and they speak in many different ways. And it's been really important for me along my journey because at some point I hit a place of complete surrender. And it's just like I surrender to the divine. I trust. I may not understand. I may I may not know exactly where to go, but I trust and I allow. And understanding when I hit that point that divine guidance was exactly what was going to be guiding me moving forward, and learning how to understand that has been a journey in and of itself. So I will pass the talking stick. I can't wait to hear from beautiful guests today. And again, if you are joining us in the chat, thank you all so much for being here. And feel free to drop your own inspiration and share your stories. I always love hearing what everyone has to say. So,
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. I love that you realize that your divine path and your divine guidance are all kind of intertwined. My personal journey, especially with the angels being one of the major topics for today, kind of initiated my healing path at a really young age. We just talked really in depth about this in our own podcast over on Bring Me to Life, and this is one I can go on a bit of a tangent on. But my healing journey really started really young. I dealt with the transition and the loss of both of my parents very young, and I was warned by an angel that it was coming. And it was kind of a double-edged sword, because when I was very young and started connecting with the angels, no one around me really sort of believed me. And it felt very overwhelming to kind of tap into that. But while everybody else was kind of freaked out by it, I was very comforted by it. And it brought a lot of just healing, even as a child, to know that there were these energies out there that were willing to help me that not everybody at that moment could see. And this was in the early 90s, when the angels were becoming more powerful in our physical realm. And a lot of adults were starting to collect angelic figurines, and they were working with angels, and Doreen Virtue was kind of getting big, but yet nobody was willing to speak about it and to accept that there was this connection that was happening with humans with the angels at the same time. It was like this still kind of taboo energy. So as young as 4, I started kind of communicating with these energies, and my family would call them sort of my imaginary friends. And it was like, kind of, it got a little stranger as I got older, and it made me, wonder if I was crazy, because my friends weren't experiencing it in the small town that I was in. And they're always telling you, if you hear voices, or if you feel like you're talking to something, then like you should like question it, like it could be evil. But for me, it was always such a comforting experience, and it was what was giving me divine guidance to know that everything was going to be okay. And I kept hearing the phrase, everything was going to happen for a reason. And a lot of people get really frustrated when bad things keep happening. They're like, this is for a reason. But I dealt with death after death, and I dealt with 8 losses in 8 years before I was 16. So connecting with the angels really gave me an outlet to understand that I wasn't alone, and also that I had this whole spiritual, um, basically not safety net, but like community that couldn't be seen in the physical, that was cheering me on and was giving me a bigger purpose. And I realized early on in my healing path, I could feed into the negative energy and allow darker entities to kind of guide me and to fall into darkness. And I had several years of that too, where I got really angry and was like, screw you, angels. Like, I'm done with this. Like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. You're making me feel crazy. And I went down a path of like really dark events and dark parts of the festival land that aren't the transformational experience. And then I kind of hit a breaking point when my grandmother started to get really sick in my early 20s. And I called back out to the angels and was like, I really just need some divine guidance. And I know you guys were always here for me when I was younger. I'm ready to like step into whatever this is that you were telling me was coming. And right around that time is when Silo appeared into my life. And he was also, connecting with angels and energies. And we'll tell you about that. And it kind of opened up a whole new portal for my awakening. So that's kind of how I started embracing the guidance and the communication pathways.
I always love hearing Shannon's story. She's such a good speaker, so passionate. Yeah, it was kind of exciting coming into her reality. But for me personally, I grew up in a Christian family, and so the angels were always like a part of the stories in the Bible. They were often delivering messages to people about things that were going to happen or whatever. And those people were considered, I guess, special, like messengers. And so like in the Bible, kind of makes it seem like only certain special people are allowed to like talk to the angels or talk to the divine. And that was something that was always like interesting to me, because like my family was so into angels. But when I started to tell them I was like communicating with them, they literally thought I was going crazy. My brother sent me a huge long message about how I was going down the path of the devil. And so it was like really interesting to have my own family like look at me that way. But it's been a process. I didn't always know I was talking to angels. I felt like I was talking to them, but thought they were like imaginary friends, like Shannon was talking about. Um, and then it wasn't until I started getting really into meditation. I started getting really into like the chakras and all that stuff that I started to accept like these are angels like actually communicating. And it's a process to feel like we're not just making it up in our heads or me. It's like I feel like a lot of people have that as well, where you have these messages come through and the world makes you feel like you're crazy. And so you start questioning if it's just you making it all up in your head. But just like we shared a quote on the podcast where Dumbledore was talking to Harry Potter and he said, it is in your head, but that doesn't mean it's not real. So I started to just accept it. And it like you were saying earlier, Kristen, the longer you stick with it, the deeper you go into it and the more like they come through. And I started to really open up and accept them and say, angels, like I give you permission to like come and assist me and help me. And Archangel Michael was one of the like main angels, and like I was just super connected to Archangel Michael. And I've been able to find ways to allow him to literally speak through my voice, and some like interesting experiences. And I'm not special. Like I think we all have this ability to do this. I think we all have the ability to connect with and receive messages from the angels. And I'm like, I want to share that with people. Like I want people to realize that like we're not special messengers that only have access to Archangel Michael or any of the other archangels. Like everybody has this ability. So we're all on our healing path. We're all doing the best that we can. The angels are there to help us, but we need to ask, we need to give them permission to come into our reality, because we do have the tool of free will. And we can experience suffering if we want to, we can experience joy if we want to. But calling in the angels is very helpful. It's been helpful for me in my healing path, healing a lot of belief systems that I had like growing up in a religious home where some of the things I didn't agree with were hammered into me. And it was like putting a square peg in a round hole. I was like, this is not working. Like I think it's important that we find a personal connection to the divine. The angels really help with that, being able to, have that personal connection. So, everybody has this thing. All you got to do is ask. If you're, I think we're all on the healing path. It's part of the process. Um, so I'm sending all of you a lot of love right now, because it could be really hard. It could be really hard, but we're in it together. So thanks everybody for being here.
Love that. Thank you both so much. Your stories are absolutely empowering. I think the thing that you both mentioned that really touched me was you're not crazy. And like that feeling of like going back and forth of, am I crazy? I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy. I'm crazy. It comes this cycle, right? And that's where I think community and connections and spaces like what we're doing right here is so important, because I still struggle with that exact scenario. And I think that as I progress, as I grow, I guess it becomes less frequent. But I think as we grow, we tap into uh, higher dimensions of ourselves, different dimensions of ourselves. We are always uncovering new parts of our consciousness and adapting ways to understand that within our beings. And so I think that's one of the things that I'll just add to what Sila said, is that, knowing that like sharing your story and sharing what has happened and your experiences is how you can build these connections with others. And even if your story is so amazingly, incredibly unique that no one else in the world has experienced anything like it, it's that much more important to share, because that's your story to be able to be able to connect, and you never know
Mhm.
who is going to be touched by the words that you say. So
Mhm.
just a final like add on for that. And then the other thing that you both mentioned a little bit touched on is being able to connect with angels versus kind of having darker energies or more of like negative energies coming in, and learning how to discern between those. And so I would love to hear any tips or tricks or just things that have worked for you along your journey to be able to discern between these, and how to really be able to come back to that center place of trust.
That's really important. I know on some of my journeys, I've watched my friends channel some darker energies, and it's a thing. It is a thing. So you definitely have to watch out. And I think for me personally, I really tap into how the energy makes me feel. Um, like for example, if there was an energy that, kind of flowed into me, and then I started feeling worried and anxious about life, or like like just like all hope was lost, like there's no hope for humanity, then I know I'm not really channeling an angelic being. Because when I do channel the angelic beings, like our Archangel Michael, it's so much love, like powerful, beautiful, strong, loving frequency. And I just feel my vibration raised a little, like kind of like when you get goosebumps or like a shiver up your spine or something. That's my tell for when I know I'm channeling the angels.
I think it's important also to just take care of like your mind, your body, and your space. Because if I find myself drifting into a more negative energy, or I allow like darker energy to channel through, it's usually when I haven't slept well, I'm not hydrated, I've been eating a lot of junk food, or I've been in partaking in extracurriculars that aren't of the sober mindset. Like there's like these layers of yourself that allow these energies in. And to really be able to connect with angels, I'm not saying you have to eat a completely vegan or perfect diet or anything, but you do want to like take care of your body in a way that you feel nourished, because you're creating a vessel and a channel for these entities to come in and be welcomed into your space. So if you're surrounding yourself with a lot of, mess or like stagnant and stuffy energy, then heavier, darker energies are going to want to sit in that energy, versus welcoming your space, creating angelic altars. Like when I create my angel paintings, I make sure I like light a candle. I usually walk outside for a moment and I allow myself to like be cleansed of whatever was driving me nuts that day or whatever. And I like try to channel into whatever frequency of whatever angel I'm working with. But also, like Silo said, like you can feel this light energy, and it's almost like a presence of just pure joy or protection or comfort or confidence and strength, whatever sort of vibration you need. They kind of are I like to say invisible friends rather than imaginary friends that we can't see, but they're there to pat us on the back and to lift us up when we've fallen down. And giving ourselves the belief that they can help us, just as we would give the belief to a parent or friend or a sibling that we can see in the physical. If we put faith in others in helping us, but we have to also give faith in the universe that put us here, and knowing that, like the creator, spirit, God, whatever you want to call this energy that put us here, also has a community. Because if we can't see it and we believe it put us here, we can't see the other beings either, but we know that they're there. Yes, there's both the good and the bad, the light and the dark. But if you're channeling something and it's giving you strength, it's giving you hope, it's giving you messages to help others in a positive way, you're likely communicating with some sort of angelic or higher frequency being, versus something that's, like Sila said, making you hate life or making you want to harm yourself or harm others or harm anything in the world. That's probably a lower frequency that you're allowing to channel through you. And giving yourself time to take a breath and go outside, or use some sort of cleansing practice is a good way to really like restructure that, and setting the intention too. Like you have to give these things permission in some way to really enter into your experience. So if you're feeding into, I'm going to be taken over by demons, or I'm going to be taken over by this dark energy by allowing myself to channel, then you're calling that in like a magnet, versus saying, I'm setting the intention to feel stronger in this moment. I could really use the extra strength, and like breathing in that strength rather than breathing in fear. You're going to embrace a different frequency.
Yeah, whatever makes you feel safe and protected is really good. Some people like draw a ring with salt like around them. Like I know a lot of druid people will like have rocks, like a rock circle around them. But when I do meditations, I will have people imagine a light, like an egg-shaped light around their bodies, and to remember, no like energy is allowed to harm you and affect you unless if you give it permission. So just imagine you're protected. However that happens, however you feel safe is going to help you.
Beautiful. Absolutely. I think for my journey, it has definitely been that feeling and understanding too that it's okay if you are utilizing your divine inspiration and guidance to move along your path, and maybe you realize that you have been channeling some lower vibrational energy. It's okay, and to allow yourself to hold space for that energy to be seen and understood so that you can release it and move forward and continue along your path. And I think that's been one of the biggest lessons for me too, is understanding that it's healing, my friends, is not linear and it will not be a straight shot. It will be many ups and downs and jumps through portal holes and twists like a pretzel, and somehow you'll end up back where you started, but somehow wiser. It's a beautiful, beautiful mess, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But holding space for wherever you are. And I wanted to bring attention. Jennifer in the chat asked, do angels incarnate? And something that Silo said made her want to ask. So I would love to hear your all's thoughts on incarnating angels.
I believe in earth angels. I definitely believe that there are fractals of Archangel Michael incarnated. They're so omnipotent, and like I don't know if just like the entirety of an archangel will be like human. I know that there were some human souls that were able to do enough so that they became archangels after they passed away. After their human incarnations, then they became angels. But I do believe that angels will send fractals of their soul and their energy to anchor in certain frequencies on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd like to agree with that and say that I think we can all channel versions of them. So in a way, our existence as humans is an incarnation of angelic beings, because the way I see it is like the creator created fractals of itself. And part of that was the angels. And then it wanted a more physical experience in this earthly realm. And there have been so many people that have walked into my life at the most random of times that have channeled some form of an angelic being, whether they are an incarnation of them or not, or if they do it on the regular or not. In that moment, they were exactly what I needed to give me some sort of channeled message from an angel. I've been saved from the side of the road. I've had people walk into my shop when I had it at the most random times. Sometimes they'll have a name that kind of represents a fractal. I know an awful lot of Mikes and Michaels that have just stepped in. That doesn't mean that every Michael is an incarnate of Archangel Michael, but I've had an awful lot of random synchronicities with Mikes and Raffies or Ralphs, which are like Raphaels in my brain, and just things like that. And different people that knew, even like my great grandmother, they would come up to me and they'd be like, she was an earth angel. And I was just like, like she did enough in her lifetime to have dozens of people see her as an angel. So like Sila said, we have the ability to tap into being an earth angel. And who are we not to be considered earth angels? All of us, not just some of us, but all of us have that ability, because who are we not to shine, and who are we not to tap into that frequency? And I think that's what scares so many people, is they think they're not worthy of that kind of connection or that kind of title. So they just choose to like stay at a certain level rather than embrace it. Um, but you mentioned some of the archangels. Metatron and Dolphin are two that were mentioned in the Bible to ascend into the title of archangel and to be seen as part of like the major 13 or whatever, the Council of 13. So that there have been people that have been written in scriptures and whatnot to ascend into angels incarnated.
That's incredible. Did you want to speak a little bit on the 13 and share any wisdom on the ones that you've been able to work with that have really impacted your life the most?
Do you want me to roll with it? You want to say something?
I'll say something real quick, and then I'll let Shannon go deeper into it. We've been talking about the Council of 13 as I kind of like channeled in and kind of talked about it with Shannon, and she was like, oh my goodness, like I have these 13 angels, like, and then we were like putting the pieces together. The whole Council of 13 thing, like, is something that came in 2012 with Archangel Raphael. Actually showed me a vision in an astral projection of robed figures, and it just they felt like angels to me, so that's why I see them. And I was actually the 13th member, and so I was like on a kick, like for a long time, kind of wondering about this Council of 13, but never really getting any information about it until like many years later. Shannon and I are like putting the pieces about it together. And so we did a recent series on 13 different angels, and I'd say less than half of them I knew about, but it was so awesome getting to learn about all the other beautiful angels. Like, there's so many of them, but the 13 that Shannon was covering were just really, really, I'm really grateful I got to learn about them.
I dove into the Council of 13 on and off throughout my journey, and it was just a number that seemed very powerful. And then I started kind of meditating on this idea of having 13 guardians, and I started seeing it synchronistically come up in other texts and in other communities where a lot of people were dealing with it. Some people saw a council of 7, some people saw a council of 13, and it just seemed like a kind of common collective series. And I started painting angels a few months ago during the intense chaos of the world that was happening. And I realized I had painted 13 specifically, and then I had started kind of doing fractals of the same energies and same color patterns in different ways. And that's when I actually was like, I'm going to make a calendar. And I have one for each month, and then on the back I have the 13th one, but each one has such a powerful representation of something that people need, and most of them correlate with a chakra, the 7 main chakras, and then the several that are just slightly out of the common knowledge of the chakra system. But we actually have so many chakras that there's an unlimited amount of angels as well. But there's these core 13 that are kind of like the council that help send out the frequencies to the other fractals. And some of them that are really well known are Archangel Michael, Raphael, Metatron. I work a lot with Ariel and Raziel and Uriel. We also have Dolphin, which is like Metatron's twin brother. That was something I had like known this angel existed, but didn't know that they were the ones that represented in the Bible until I did deeper research. We have Jophiel, which is like beauty, Hanuel, which is like joy, and then Gabriel is kind of like a well-known angel from the Bible that gave like the messages. Azrael is an angel that sometimes is misunderstood as like the angel of death, but it's really like the transition and helps people through transitions. And then another lesser known one, but super powerful, is Archangel Samuel. If you're like looking for something, whether it's a person, place, or thing, I often call upon Samuel when I can't find my keys or my hard drives or random objects. So yeah, I think I named almost all of them. If I didn't mention Zadkiel is another good one. So those were like the main 13 that I like to work with myself. And for me, it's not even necessarily like you need to know their names, but their names kind of helped me organize the frequencies that I was communicating with.
That's beautiful. So first of all, just to note, if you are at all interested, please do check out Shannon's work. Her paintings are gorgeous. And I know I'm gonna get a calendar, so we'll link that down below the video as well. So definitely check out Shannon and her work. It's amazing. So all the info for that will be down below the video, and don't hesitate to reach out. Shannon's got lots of beautiful stuff. So, and I love the angels. They're gorgeous. And I know for me, my connection with the angels is pretty personal. I work with them pretty closely in my Reiki sessions, and so I always love the way that angels are depicted, because I see them very clearly whenever I'm working a healing session. And Shannon's depictions look so reflective of what I see in my meditation spaces and in my sessions. So thank you, Shannon, for sharing your visions with the world and bringing the knowledge, and Silo, you as well, for channeling that beautiful wisdom. And I'm excited to check out all the amazing things that you guys have created. So yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad to know that the depictions resonate with you, because I questioned if people would be able to connect with them, the fact that I leave them mostly faceless. But to me, most of the time, they don't necessarily have the same features. They're like humanoid, but they're more of an energy of the humanoid. They don't have like specific features in the sense that I feel like they shift to whatever the person needs in that moment. So thank you for connecting in that way.
Absolutely. I would love to share a little bit about divine guidance for anyone that is really looking to be able to work with their flow and find their rhythm, and being able to kind of understand what that is. And so I'll explain a little bit of my own journey, because divine guidance is definitely something that's going to be very personal for each and every one of you. For me, I see divine guidance come in forms of synchronicity mixed with messages that I receive. And so it'll be in the form of, I'll receive a message either in meditation or in my dreams. And then throughout the day, I'll have small synchronicities happen that will kind of affirm those messages. And then if I even take it the one step further to take action towards following the guidance that has been given to me, then I will see like physical, affirmations, begin to form as well. And so for me, divine guidance is something that really comes by being mindful of my surroundings and being open to receive the messages that are meant for me. And I utilize it in a way to really help me along my healing path, to guide me with my flow. Being in flow is something that's really important for me. And so anytime I feel like I'm not in a flow state, or I feel like I'm not in vibration with my reality, I always allow myself to really try and ask my angels and ask my guides for that divine guidance, to be able to find that flow and get back into that space of peace. So that's kind of my personal tips and tricks, but I'd love to hear yours as well.
Take this one.
Oh, the other day, this is something that is I love this one. There's noises going around all the time in our realities with music, and like if you're like me, you love movies and games and stuff. And sometimes I'm having so much dialogue in my head, like all the time. And sometimes I will be communicating with like the divine through thought, and I'll have a thought that pops in like, like, should I do this thing? Or is this like right for me? And then I'll hear on the TV, or he'll hear like somebody random just like yelling like, yes, go for it. Or like, it's so synchronistic. Like when you, and it happens constantly, even though we don't notice it. But when we start to notice, like you're saying, synchronicity, when you open up to that and you begin to become conscious of it, you can tap into moments like that. There's one point where I was in Hawaii. I wasn't in Hawaii. I was trying to get to Hawaii, and I was in San Francisco, and all the paths were just being blocked. Me and my friend tried to get a barge. Actually, we went to this office and like talked to these people, and there was a giant Hawaiian like banner in the background that said like Hawaiian progress. Like it was our progress towards making it to Hawaii, but we kept getting blocked every chance we had, even though signs were like, we're going to go to Hawaii. I was like, what the heck is going on? And then I was like in this library, kind of really depressed about it. And I asked Spirit, should I go home? And I looked around and I saw the first word I saw was yes. And I was like, okay, but maybe I was just, maybe that was me. That wasn't divine, like telling me. I was like, should I stay here? And I looked the opposite way and I saw no. And it was like so blatant and so obvious. I was like, all right. So I went home, ended up, something special happened where I got enough money to actually buy a ticket to get to Hawaii after I went back to Michigan. So like those kind of synchronicities I think are really fun. But I've kind of opened up a dialogue with the divine and with spirit and with these angels, so that if I am being distracted, my angels will be like, yo, the F you doing? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm distracted. Okay. And then I'll try to get back to that. But it's like I can hear them like they're my own thought, almost like my own dialogue with myself. Like that's kind of how they pop in sometimes.
Agree. I have a similar situation where it's part of that inner dialogue. And for me, I get the guidance from different directions. And I think it's because I've created that sort of communication with my divine guidance system. Like with the angels specifically, I'll be like, all right, so like Archangel Michael usually comes from this direction. And it's like I hear it in my inner mind, but it sounds like it's coming from over here. I don't even know how to explain it in human form. And like Raphael comes this way, Metatron comes this way, and all the others kind of just like float around in this weird dialogue. But then besides like the angels too, there's like series of synchronicities and things like you said. And I've had a lot of like books will appear at the perfect time that'll like have the exact knowledge I need to get through whatever situation. I communicate to spirit through a lot of animals. Like I'll be thinking about something in my car, and like cardinals are a really powerful bird for me. And like I'll be wondering like, is somebody like, can I get help from like my ancestors or like my grandma or something like that in spirit? And like here swoops a cardinal, and then I'll be like, was that really a cardinal? And then like you said, like another cardinal will come up. All right, I got the message. You're there, you're out there. And really it's an ability to believe in yourself and believe in your connection, because so many people are willing to shrug those experiences off as just like something at random. But I believe in that everything happens for a reason, and then nothing's really at random. It's all part of this bigger scheme of the video game of life, and everything has its own little purpose in the gears and the experience and the mission. So
Ooh, I love when books kind of come to you, because books are great. They have a lot of information, and the angels are like they definitely will use books and stuff like that. Like one time a book fell off the shelf in front of me, and it was like, read this book. I was like, okay.
that
Yeah, and so
happened with the Celestine Prophecy in me. It was like a huge book for my awakening, and I got a copy of it, and I couldn't like get past like a certain chapter. And then I found another copy of it at this like market, and then I found another copy of it at this like thrift store, and then someone gave me a copy of it, and I was like, all right, I have gotten like 4 copies of this book. I read it. I'm going to give one to my friends so that we all read it and they get excited about it too. We can all go on this journey. But then they would get stuck on certain chapters too. And then I would pick it back up And right when I would pick it back up, something that was happening in the book, literally 6 months later, would be happening to me in my own life. And I'd be like, all right, I just was not ready to get to that level yet.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And especially if you see a book multiple times, like stand out to you in different environments, like different places that you go, that's definitely a huge sign. And also if you see like a feather floating around, if you see like a feather sticking out of a book, maybe check out that book.
Oh, I love it. Thank you all for mentioning books. Like, this is divine guidance in action, because I literally picked up a book today about auras and energies, your systems, so I can enhance my Reiki. And I've just been like putting it off, and thank
Tis the
you. So
time.
yes, exactly. Now is the perfect, when is the start is now. So Jennifer in the chat mentioned, or not Jennifer, sorry, Maria mentioned getting messages for other people that sometimes feel intrusive and not really feeling super great about it. So I would love to share any wisdom we have for that for Maria. I know that that's something that I struggled with for a while on my journey, being able to develop a daily practice that gives you a form of energetic protection. And this could be like even just a shielding meditation. I love to utilize crystals. Also understanding that like the more that you accept the fact that you are the physical being and you have the ability to say no, I think if it's at a point where you're not feeling great, if it's feeling intrusive, definitely being able to set those boundaries is something I would try as well. I'm sure Shannon and Sela have some beautiful things too.
I received messages for people a lot, and I had the same situation where it was like, all right, when is too far, and how do you know when to share something with someone that won't alter their life path? That was a big thing for me, because as a soul reader, I do a lot of sessions one-on-one with people, and sometimes even before somebody will come to a session, I will receive downloads for what they're going through. And a lot of times with my family or my friends too, I had to figure out like what is too much to share, especially with like my friend group, because a lot of them didn't necessarily believe in the channelings or the messages, and they were just thought I was trying to be a know-it-all or something like that. And it was stuff that I wouldn't have known unless something was channeling to or through me. So I'm kind of wondering too if the question or the reference in the chat is about being too intrusive to like share the information with them or just to receive it at all. But as far as sharing it, I've come to this practice of asking people if there's anything they want to talk about, or if they're looking for like feedback in anything in their life, and kind of invite them to open the conversation. And if they bring something along the lines up that has been something that's channeled to me, it almost then allows the permission then of the channeling to come through. And if they don't seem like they're ready to talk about it, or they don't feel, it doesn't feel like a safe space, then I just kind of like hold it to myself and ask for, spirit to give them the message in a way that's clear, or if I'm supposed to share the message, to give me the opportunity to do so that I don't feel overbearing. Because it can be a lot for people when you're just like, I got this message from spirit for you and you got to do this, because then they're going to think that you're kind of stepping over a boundary. So creating a safe space, and sometimes that's a term that's getting a little overused in the spiritual community, but I think it is important to create a dialogue with people you're receiving messages for, and see if they're ready to receive it or not. Because if they're not, then it may not be your job to deliver it in that moment, but spirit might just want you to be aware of what they're going through so that you can hold space from a distance.
Yeah, it's Shannon definitely has more experience in like that area. I really like what you said, Kristen, though, is setting like a boundary with spirit and the divine, especially if like you're not in a good place to like tell somebody something, or you just feel like it's like out of line, or you're reading the room and it just doesn't feel like the proper time. Being able to like communicate with the angels or the divine and say like, could you like hold off on these while this is happening, or wait until it's like the right time. um I don't, I'm not the best at like telling people stuff when messages come to me and I like receive messages from somebody else's angels or something. I'm not the best at like confronting them about it. But if I tell people stuff, I try to just be really gentle with it. And sometimes if you got to say something, you just say it and then it's done. And like even earlier today, something happened and I didn't realize it until 10 seconds after it happened. And I was like kind of hesitant to say something because of the reaction I was expecting from the person. And I almost didn't say anything, but then I did. And I didn't hesitate when, as soon as I was like, I need to say something, I didn't let any hesitation or any thoughts kind of like stop me. It's like ripping off a band-aid. I was just like, all right, just do this real quick before I overthink it, because I do that. So I did it. And the person like reacted fine. And it was like a few minutes where I was like apprehensive about what I said. But in the end, it was like it saved me hours and hours of like stress and hours of like worrying, should I have said that? Or I wish I would have said that. So those few uncomfortable minutes were much better than those few hours of being kind of like tense.
I love that. That's beautiful. Any chance you have the opportunity to save yourself from that mental anguish is always grateful. And Maria is saying in the chat that yes, it was because she would get the messages and want to be able to tell the specific people what is going on, but feeling sorry that they need to say that to you. So hopefully, Maria, that gave you some beautiful inspiration. And yeah, I think there's a really important line that we sit whenever we become channels or speakers for the divine, or even just with the intention of delivering messages, and understanding that, kind of like, I think Shannon pretty well said it, but it's like you have a gift to be able to share this, but understanding when it's appropriate to share it and what's in their highest good. Sometimes we get messages that that person's never meant to hear. Maybe we were just meant to know it, and that vibration in and of itself serves what it needs to serve. And so I think at the end of the day, always listening to and trusting your intuition on what needs to be spoken and shared, and trusting that divine connection as well. So.
I would also like to add something, but now I can't remember what I was going to say.
Oh no.
And that happens. Yeah, sometimes you gotta just trust that everything will be okay, and that things will come back to you when they need to.
This has been lovely. I think I would love to go around and share one more bit of inspiration for anyone that is maybe struggling on their journey or finding themselves in a place of really not being able to find that trust or that drive to continue in their path of healing. So I just want to start by saying, like, if you are here listening to this podcast today or in the replay, I thank you and I honor you and I honor your journey. And I hold so much reverence for wherever you are, whether you are experiencing your enlightenment and your inspiration and your motivation, or whether you have just hit another dark night of the soul, or whether you are feeling like you are in the mundane world of mellow. And wherever you are, I just send you love and hope that if you have found yourself in a place of disconnect from the divine, a disconnect from your journey, to allow yourself whatever you feel called towards that will bring you back into alignment with that, because whatever it is that you're searching for lives within you, and I fully believe in your ability to be able to connect with it and to embrace it and shine it in all the ways that you are meant to do so.
Mm.
remembered what I was going to say.
Okay.
And thank you for this beautiful space and what you do. Your energy is just so beautiful and so helpful, and it's a great space that you create for people. But I totally remembered. I was going to say, I'm a very telepathic person. Like sometimes when I have a message I want to tell somebody, I think it really hard. And I think about telling them like really hard. And half the time, literally half the time, they answer the question without me having to say anything, or like they respond to what I was going to say without having to say it. And that's really helpful for me because sometimes it's hard for me to use my language, use these like mouth words and these mouth sounds to like communicate something. So that helps me. But I'm really grateful for the space, and really grateful to be able to talk about these really helpful topics like the healing path, which is a very beautiful experience and something that we can't rush, but we get to experience being a human. And you know, the angels, love them, so grateful for them, beautiful symbols of the divine and helpful connecting with the divine. And you know, divine guidance is all there, it's all around us all the time. We just had to open our eyes and look and see what the spirit is telling us.
I love that.
Thanks.
I think what I'd like to share is the invitation to connect deeper with whatever it is that's inspiring you most, and the spiritual permission slip that it's okay to communicate and to allow yourself to believe in angels or fairies or whatever energy it is that drives you to go deeper into finding more about yourself in the world around you. Because sometimes we need that little permission slip and invitation so we don't feel so alone and so scared and so crazy, because you're not crazy. You're just waking up to something bigger than you that not everybody else is willing to allow into their world yet. Everyone has the ability, but it's up to you to unlock it. And I think that's going back to the video game analogy that we've been referencing. Like, you have to be willing to unlock certain parts of your map and what you're willing to experience. And if you're ready for it, it will show itself to you. And if you choose to believe, then you'll see the magic in it and the ability to connect deeper. And if anything Silo or I have shared tonight inspires you, we literally, like when you messaged us, Kristen, it was like so divine. Like we were saying before we went live, we just did a whole like month or two's worth of podcasts on angels, and we talk about all kinds of things all the time. So like the fact that you popped in right when we were like in this angel channel was so synchronistic. And it shows that the angels, they want to come through, they want to be heard, they want to help us, but they have to have our permission because they can't take away our free will as humans. So if you want to know more about the Council of 13 that we talked about, check out the Bring Me to Life podcast. If you're working on releasing shame or guilt or fear of connecting, we did a discussion on that. And I love to work with people one-on-one. I call them soul sessions, but they're really whatever your soul needs. But if you want to work with angels, we can do angel work. If you want to do Akashic work, we can do that. And I would love to get more angel art out into the world. So thank you for this space and the ability to be free and to talk about these things without fear.
Beautiful. Yes, that's my favorite part about this is we are free and we have the space, and as long as we are all willing to show up and create it, what magical things we can. And I will never stop suggesting, if you are at all feeling called to connect, please do. Shannon and Silo offer very beautiful things, and the Bring Me to Life network is gorgeous. They have lots of inspirational and wisdom filled content, so check them out and support their meditations as well. Love all the meditations that you both do. So yeah, it's been a truly beautiful blessing to have you all along my journey and to be able to call you my soul family. And yeah, these are just dear to my heart. So, and of course, synchronicity is always beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so I'm going to end with if you would like to like this video by pressing the thumbs up button and subscribe to this channel to help me grow, and check out all the links down below the video to connect with each and every one of these beautiful souls. And we can send everyone off with a love splash if you feel called to join me. So a love splash we do in the cove. It is a little bit of a wave mixed with a splash.
Nice.
So
Gotta get some room.
Feels like I need room for this.
yeah,
wave.
you do. You get a little elbow room and get the energy going. You just love splash. All right. Bye, family. Have a good night.